what advice do you have for anyone who wants to be the next up and coming artist to break into comics?
I used to recommend people not do it. I'd gone through like a period of time where I was cranky about everything, and I would just kind of say, "Oh, don't! You really don't want to." But I think that what happens is that there's just something you can't let go of, and my form of communication, and a lot of people's form of communication, is to draw it out. And tell a narrative and a story. And that's a skill that's not usual. I mean, it usually starts out as, I think it's almost like a pathology. Like, you just can't get across stuff verbally that you can. Like, I'll sit, when someone asks me where to go, like, I'll draw out a map. You know what I mean? I'll say, you go this way, this way. Rather than say, like, oh, you make a left or you make a
right,
yeah,
go
make
straight.
right. So there's something about the visual medium that helps people understand things quickly and in
a meaningful way.
And in a meaningful way. And I think that the advice that what winds up happening for people who do think that way and certainly draw that way is that persistence is really the key. You know, it depends on where you are in your path, because the thing about art is it's not a destination, it's an actual path. Like, you're always on that road. You never finally arrive. You'll have little, points along the way, like you'll have like this book comes out,
of course,
but it's almost like a snapshot in time.
You never feel like you've made it and I'm done. I've created my epic and that's that.
You'll never. You keep going. Even Alan Moore still writes comics.
Exactly.
So like, but the thing that happens is that the advice is different for everybody in a different part of their trip. So if they're a little kid, like, you just tell them keep going. You know what I mean? Because it's really frustrating. You have to get into the habit of drawing all the time and every day. That's the advice you give someone who's starting out. The advice that you give to somebody who's been doing it for a long time but doesn't quite have certain skills like the anatomy or the pacing and storytelling, like those realms of advice are different. So you'll say, like, pick up this book on anatomy or take some anatomy classes, like model drawing classes, storyboard classes, in order to tell a story effectively. So the advice is different along those lines. People who are starting out, like, you're going to get different advice on how to, like, try and, like, say, okay, you've got your first story down, you've published it. Like, where do you want to go next? Do you want to work for one of the majors? Do you want to continue to do work for yourself? If you want to continue to do work for yourself, you have to learn all those things, like getting like 20 reviews, you know, like if you want to do stuff for the majors, you got to figure out what an editor wants. Do you know what I mean? And then even from those things, it's not the first job you get, it's the next one, and then the next one, and the next one. Because again, it's a path.
Of course.
You're not taking one step, you're taking a million.
Yeah.
So, and then even at the end, like, recently, my advice to my people around that have been around as long as I've been around, like 5 years or more, like, my advice is to let go. Like, you've been clenching the entire time because you're nervous and you're trying to get your stuff across and you're trying to learn who you are. But the best advice at that point is just to let go and try and just let go of the anxieties that you've built up around not being good enough, right? Because everybody's got
we all have that.
Yeah, so the thing to do at that point is to sort of say, like, look, I'm okay if I reveal myself every day this way, it's going to be all right, so yeah, there's different advice that you would give to everybody in a different time. So
I love it. I mean, those all great advice. You throughout your entire career, you have different forms of advice, and you're always growing.
Because you're not the same person you were at the beginning. You're not the same person you were in the middle.